Good morning. So I'm at a crossroad because I feel like Vic stole my speech. And Vic, you were in the education field, so copying, plagiarism, that's not really that good. So I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to say next. But I like that there's going to be a very close parallel to what he said. And also to the other speakers who have spoken, they've said a lot of similar things. So I like the theme. First off, I'd like to make sure that we recognize any veterans. If you have any veterans here, please stand. I want to recognize their service. If you get a chance, come see me afterwards. I got something for you if I haven't seen you already. Building a legacy of service in real estate. I manage 350 properties, and every day I get calls from realtors, tenants, landlords with problems. Because my job, what I get paid for is to solve problems. The water is leaking, the toilet doesn't work, the AC broke, and every tenant seems to think that there's an AC tech ready to go to their house in an instant. And do you have that problem? Yes? Right? So it's amazing that you have to try to convince them. But tenants don't understand that they're living in a world where it's another person's property. They think they're going to go into a property that's brand spanking new, ready to go, and then they find out that the owner didn't paint, the owner didn't do certain things, it wasn't clean the way they wanted, and so now it becomes a confusion. And that's what happens when you're a tenant. Now, if you learn to be a homeowner, if you learn to be an investor, you can kind of see the difference between a person who doesn't have much money, low savings, not planning for retirement, where a person who might own and invest, they're saving for retirement, they're planning for their children's education, they might have a trust for their properties, right? And so we want to be able to make sure that our clients are the type of people that are on the right side. But we're in a crisis. Average American debt is up. People don't have life insurance. They don't have wills. They're not prepared. And so it's my premise that as realtors, the people who are helping our friends, our clients, purchase one of the most biggest and important properties in their life, be that bridge. If you look at the S&P 500, the blue line, you would say, man, I should be an investor in the market because it's done exceptionally well. And I would agree with them. We need to make sure that your 401ks are done. If you're 1099, then you're doing your Roth IRA. If you make too much money, you're not doing a Roth IRA anymore, you're doing a traditional IRA, right? And you have to make sure that you start planning for the future. But if you buy a property, a 300% increase is very good. I bought a property in 2017 and it doubled in price, right? That's a unique system. If you look at real estate, the average doubling time of your money is about 7 to 8 years. The average doubling time of a real estate property is about 14 years. Don't take into account the unicorn years that we had the last 5 or 6, 7 years because it was a unicorn. But if you look at the overall average, every 14 years, the property doubles. So what's my legacy? Because I had to have a purpose, right? And for many years, I found Horace Mann's quote. It says, be ashamed to die until you won some victory for mankind or humanity. I lived with that quote. And then someone said, well, what's your legacy? So then I defined my legacy. My legacy will be that I served others so they could live a better quality of life to become better versions of themselves, financially, educationally, spiritually, and their family lives. And I hope to inspire them to do the same. That's my goal today with you. I want to inspire you to help people live better lives. It's my belief, again, that you're the bridge. I just said that. You are the bridge to wealth. You are the bridge to generational wealth. You're the bridge to financial security because home ownership and investment ownership is a path to wealth. And that wealth will eventually get transferred to your children and to your clients' children. So are we doing the right things to make sure that that's true? So we're going to ask the crowd here, who are your partners when you sell a home? Tell me, who are the couple of people that you have to go to make sure that transaction actually happens? Somebody over here? Anybody? Well, you're the real estate professional. So outside of the real estate profession, who do you go to make sure that that transaction of that sale of that house happens? Sorry? Title, lender, attorney, appraiser, right? 100%. Okay, insurance, mortgage, title, inspections. Those are your primary ones. You guys tell me if you have all your people in line. These are your team and ready to go. Everybody has one of those? Or two or three? Yes? Those are not raising your hand, you're not doing real estate. Right? Is that true? Or do you have those people? You do. So who are your partners when you want to rent a home? Property managers, okay. But usually it's just you and the tenant, correct? Or the other agent? And I think that's where we start to miss the whole premise of what we're doing. When you look at a renter and you want to make them wealthy, you want to make them a homeowner, right? Which is what we've been talking about. Renter, owner, investor. But a lot of times as a realtor, we do transactions and we forget about our client. We don't do follow-up. We don't have the CRMs. Jamie and Brittany talked about that, having a CRM, right? But we don't have it updated. We don't have anything to follow up with them to make sure. So it's my belief that if you have a tenant and you want them to buy a home, are you doing some kind of credit counseling? Are you making sure that they're saving money in a high yield investment account? Are you making sure that they have a budget? Now, I'm not saying that you have to do that, but you should have a partner that does that for them. And that partner is going to send them to you. Why? Because now they've saved the money that they need to do. When I do property management, I don't compete with the real estate agent. The real estate agent does real estate, I do property management. When the tenant wants to leave, I call the realtor. When the tenant wants to rent again, I call the agent again so they can re-rent it and get a commission. If the owner says, I want to sell, I call the real estate agent. They have complete exclusivity. And when you manage these people as tenants and you're telling them that you should see this financial advisor, you should see this person to make a budget, you should see this person to improve your credit, do you have those people? Are those people part of your team? And I would beg to say, mostly not. So my challenge to you is to figure out who's that person. Who should be your partners after you sell the home? Oh, sorry, I went too fast. So, rent a home, talked about that right there. So, I want to talk about NAHREP for a quick second. NAHREP is National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, dedicated to home ownership of Hispanics and dedicated to generational wealth, making sure that the children get the property. But we need to be organized, which is why I say that we need to have financial planners. We need to do budgeting. We need to do credit counseling. We need to get out of debt because it's a crisis. And this is where I think that we need to change our understanding of what wealth is. It also talks about investing at least 20% of your income into real estate. A poor person says, I make $100,000 and if I have any money left over, I'll put it into investments. Never happens. A rich person says, if I make $100,000, I'm taking $20,000 out and I put it into my investments and I'm living on $80,000. Mindset, paradigm shift, perspective. Are you helping your tenants do this? Now there's a question. Who should be your partners after you sell? Any guesses? Tax, okay. Financial planning still. What about life insurance agent? When I sit down with a client who I sold their home, I'm making sure they have life insurance. Why spend all this time and money to buy a home, have dad pass away, and then mom and dad don't have a way to live anymore? The children and the mom are without a husband who makes money. I always kill the husband, right? Mom and dad are there. They get life insurance. Dad passes away, and now mom doesn't have an income from dad. Now they can't pay the house, so now she has to sell. I'm telling you from personal experience. My sister did it. And then she had to pay a lot of money to attorneys. Did we make sure that your buyer have the right estate planning? Did they buy as individuals? Did they buy under a trust? Did they do a ladybird? Did they make sure that they had everything in place to make sure that their children can get the property if both of them pass away? Did we designate somebody to make sure that their aunt would take care of the kids and their aunt would get the house instead of maybe the other aunt because the other aunt spends money and does drugs? Can we give that kind of guidance? Can we be that bridge? We recommend people all the time. Do we not? Oh, I got a painter for you. I got a plumber for you. But we don't ever make sure that that property is taken care of. Go see my friend Claudia out there. She does real estate attorney law. She'll set up the trust. She'll set up the ladybird. Do you have your partner who's an attorney doing that stuff for your clients to make sure that those kids get it? Attorney, credit counseling, investment advisor, life insurance agent, financial planning. Those should be part of your team after the sale. If you look, about 90%, 86, 90, 89 of people go to a realtor. You don't have to worry about FSBOs. They're going to come back to you, but they got to know that you're a realtor. They got to know that you're doing real estate and that you can help them. Vic does a very good job of that, right? He was their friend first. You ever talk about Ninja? You guys have heard of Ninja? It's a training, Ford, family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. If you know those things about the person, they're going to know and love you. So you should be focused on making sure that they know you're a realtor. So the concept that I want today, which is basically what Vic said, but I'm putting it in a different perspective. I want to be Uncle Mark or Auntie Jessica or Auntie Melissa or Auntie Claudia, right? You want to be the aunt. You're going to go to the bar mitzvahs. You're going to go to the parties. You're going to go to the wedding. You're going to go to the funeral. Vic did this at work, right? He was cheating. He went around work into all the offices. But here, you're going to go to the parties, and they're going to know you as Uncle Mark. It's that family member that's been around so long, you didn't even realize they're not family. I grew up with people in my family, and I thought they were family, and they're not family. They've been every Christmas party, every New Year's party until 3 o'clock in the morning. They slept on the couch. You need to be Uncle Mark, because that's how you're going to get the business. That's how Vic got the business. By building friendships, establishing relationships, having that cup of coffee. Somebody said coffee. You're not a realtor. You're their friend. You're their family. And when those kids grow up and they need to rent a home or buy a home, and when they get married, oh, Uncle Mark does real estate. We're going to talk to him. This is building a business over time. You've served that family by making sure that they've planned their life from A to Z. And every single property is going to be carried from the parents to the grandchildren. You're going to get repeat business. I found my mistake in here. 24% of Hispanics have a will. 32% of Americans have a will. Imagine how many people are losing their homes every day because it goes through probate and the house goes to a child who's never been around. Legal advice. We're not getting our families legal advice to make sure that they make the right decisions for their real estate transactions to pass that on to their children. What happens if dad gets sick and mom gets sick? They're in the hospital, they can't talk. Who's making the decisions for the kids? Who's paying the bills? These are very, very important things for us to make sure that we're guiding our clients. And they're going to say, man, Mark helped me when he said I needed to get life insurance, and now my husband passed away. He's the one who made sure that the house got paid. He's the one that made sure that the bills got paid. He's the one that made sure that the children's educational accounts got paid so they can go to college even though dad is not here. You can't tell me that's not building value. So here's the progression. You get a renter. And I hear it all the time, I don't do rentals because you don't make money. I don't do rentals because I don't make money. So I want you guys to do some quick math. Now, since we have competing businesses here, we can't talk about numbers. So you have to do it on paper by yourself and make sure you hide it and make sure Vic is not next to you because he likes to copy, okay? All right, so I want you to think about a rental. What is your average rental price? Write it down. Once you get your average rental price, divide it in half. Now take out your split. Whatever number is there, divided by the average numbers that you, or hours that you work on a rental. And I would guess somewhere between 10 and 20 hours. And we're going to go on the high end of 20 hours. I want you to divide that. I would calculate that you're getting somewhere between $80 and $140 per hour. Am I correct? Let me ask you this question. Where do you go get a job that pays you $80 to $120 an hour when you wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, go to work for 2 hours, go to lunch for 3 hours, pick up your kids at 3 o'clock, go home, cook, and then send a couple emails? Because there are very few full-time realtors, yes or no? Right? You don't have a boss. You get to decide your own thing. You guys work a cushy schedule. As a property manager, my phone is on 24/7. I take calls at 10:30 at night. So we take a renter, we get them to their first property, we get them to 3 properties, we get them to 5 properties. Do you think that they have generational wealth? Do you think they have income forever if you help your tenant become a buyer? I do. And I don't know if you guys can see it because this might be blocking it, but at the very bottom it says Mark Pinilla, the realtor, and then I cross it off. And I said, wealth builder. You are a wealth builder if you want to be. You're helping people become financially stable. You're helping families become financially stable. A child who has a home has more stability, better education. Do you know that stability for a child is equal to love? A child who knows where they're going to rest their head feels loved. A child who opens the refrigerator feels loved. You don't have to say I love you, but having that home creates the stability that a child needs and a home that a family lives in, and you build that family, not only through stability, but also through wealth. I challenge you today to be a different kind of realtor. I challenge you not to be a transactional realtor. I challenge you to be a wealth builder. I challenge you to be an uncle or an aunt. Have a good day.
All right. That's me. All right, Mark. Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.